Most podcasters think booking great guests builds their authority. Sadaf Beynon discovered it was doing the opposite. After years of producing shows for others, she launched her own podcast and fell into the trap that stops most hosts from ever becoming the expert. She let her guests do all the talking. In this episode, she reveals why interview-heavy shows can backfire, the uncomfortable reality of trashing recorded episodes, and the AI hack saving 5 hours per episode. This is the unfiltered truth about building a podcast that actually grows your business.
Welcome to the Podcasting Secret Show, where successful creators share their best stories, secrets, and strategies. I'm your host, Nathan Gwilliam.
Hello, incurable creators, and welcome to this episode of the Podcasting Secret Show. Today, we're joined by Sadaf Beynon. She's the founder and host of the Pod Junction podcast. Sadiff is on a mission to help entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business leaders harness the power of podcasting as a strategic tool to grow their brands, amplify their influence, and achieve real, measurable results. With her expertise in marketing and storytelling, she breaks down the complexities of podcasting into actionable insights that can transform any business. Thank you for being with us today, Sadaf.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Sadaf, can you start off by sharing with us something that most people don't know about you?
A lot of people don't know that I am actually from England. I live in the UK. My accent doesn't give that away at all. But I've been here for about almost maybe 15 odd years. And I haven't picked up their accent.
So from Pakistan, live in the UK. We actually found out in the early show that her last name is the same as one of my family names.
That's right.
One of my ancestors has that as his last name, and also from England. Is your husband from the Shropshire area, the same area that my family's from?
No, he's from Liverpool.
From Liverpool. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a connection there.
It's not too far. I mean, everything's quite close here, but it's not too far.
Yeah. Okay. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about your show?
Okay. So I run Pod Junction podcast. It's something I started about 2 years ago now. And the whole idea was to help entrepreneurs get started with their own podcast and use it as a marketing tool for their business. And the reason I started that was because I had been producing a podcast already in the business, which is called the e-commerce podcast, and Matt Edmondson's the host of that. So I'd been watching that grow and really, come into itself, and seeing how we can be so strategic with the types of people that we have on, and how we can have those really great conversations and network. And so for me, it was about, this is something that I can help others understand the benefit of having a podcast, not just as a vanity tool, but actually how can you help it grow your business? So that's where it started from. Pod Junction podcast itself is about featuring entrepreneurs who are doing exactly that. So they've got a business, they've got a podcast, and they're using their podcast to grow their business. And my whole premise behind the podcast, the whole idea, is to highlight these different entrepreneurs and show to the audience, this is what you could be doing. This is what it could look like depending on what industry you're in.
So why did you choose this show, and what have been some of the benefits that you've received from it?
So I chose the show because it was a way for me to connect with other people, other podcasters who were using their show to grow their business. And the benefit for me was that I was learning. I was able to have conversations with people who were already doing what I thought is a good thing for podcast or for businesses to do. So I wanted to learn from them. I wanted to understand from them what they're seeing, how they're doing it, what are their strategies, what's the thinking behind it? What have they seen has worked? What hasn't worked? So while I'm also highlighting to the audience that this is what it could look like for you, I'm also learning as I go. So the conversations that I'm having are teaching me just as much as they're teaching the listener.
Yeah, that's right. On my first show, I did a show every day for a year. And one of the greatest benefits that I got from that, it felt like I was getting an MBA in my topic. My show was about digital monetization. And I invited some of the greatest authors and the greatest experts in that niche. And I felt like I became an expert in digital monetization from doing that show. So
Yeah.
that's right. What you learn as a host is one of the greatest benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about your journey to become a podcaster? In fact, editor, strike that question. Let's go back. Before you were a podcaster, you were a producer of a podcast for somebody else, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Can you tell us what you learned, some of the most important lessons you learned as a podcast producer?
Okay. I learned, well, I guess there was the basics, like, you're going to reach out, you got to find the guests, you got to find the right people for the show. So you need to really understand what the show is about and which guests are going to be the right fit. I did that through doing pre-calls. So I would schedule a pre-call in, chat to the guest first, get to know them. I had a list of questions I would ask, but it was really to make sure that, one, they were a good fit and that they were good at or comfortable talking on camera. And most importantly, weren't using the platform as a sales pitch. So it was really important that it's a genuine conversation, because I think the audience can pick that up, when it's a sales pitch, or and I don't think it's necessarily nice for the host either. But again, this is back in my production days. And so yeah, I didn't have the experience then of a host, but from what I understood, that's not something that's going to fly. So I wanted to make sure that person was the right fit. And then it was about keeping in communication with them, making sure that they know when they're showing up, what they need to do, all of those things. And then when it came to after the episode had been recorded, then it goes into production and editing the sound, the video, because we did audio video, making sure that it was right, making sure that it was out on time, communicating with the guests to let them know that it's out, and then repurposing the content and putting it out into blogs and social media and so on and so forth.
It's a lot of work.
Quite involved. It's quite involved, yeah.
So there really was a lot to get done as a producer. What is one of the best secrets and strategies you learned to help manage all of that workload?
AI.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, AI. I mean, it's just gotten better and better over time. But when I first started, it was, even to get the transcript, you had to upload it into a completely different platform. Upload the file into a completely different platform, get it to give you the transcript back. And not all transcription services were the same. So you had to get one that was, as most accurate as possible, and then use that to basically manually go through it. And I mean, it feels like years ago now, but yeah, it wasn't that long ago when we had to do all of that without AI. But AI does all of those wonderful things for us now. I think it's taken a lot of the tediousness out of the production piece, because you upload it. I mean, I don't know how PodUp works, because I haven't done this before, but with Riverside, which we use, it's all in one platform. You can get the transcript, you can get the audio, the video, edit it in the same platform, and export it out of there.
To answer that, PodUp just launched a tool called the Repurposer, where you record the video, and then when you're done with the video, you click on one button, and the AI goes in and it gives you like 15 or 20 different pieces of content. So it'll edit the video for you. It'll give you short video clips. It'll write your blog post for you, give you
Oh, wow.
transcript, give you show notes, create social media posts for you, give you hashtags and keywords, and just a ridiculous amount of, probably save you 4 or 5 hours worth of work that just AI will do in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been game changing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it possible for people that just didn't have the time or the money to do it before.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so tell me more about your journey to become a podcaster. Maybe start from the beginning, from why you made the decision to do your own podcast, and take me through the process of launching your podcast, and just tell us your story.
I started off editing a podcast called E-commerce Podcast, which I've mentioned. That's how I got into it. So it was for the host as well. It was very much a process of, oh, this seems fun. Let's see what this is about, this whole podcasting thing. So it was very much like learning as we go. There was no strategy. There was no, this is what we're trying to achieve here. This was, oh, let's just have fun with it. And so we did some solo episodes, and then we thought, let's bring in some guests. This is like getting tired of hearing my own voice. This was the host talking, and he's like, let's bring in some guests. So I started on that, finding the right guests, getting that process going. And I think over time I was able to refine that, because I understood, had a better idea of what we were trying to do and where we wanted to go as time went on. And so I was able to refine processes as we went. And then we thought, actually, this is quite incredible, this whole podcasting thing. It's really quite powerful. The types of conversations you can have on this platform, and the networking power is just, quite amazing. You don't get that in any other way. You're able to have doors open to you that you wouldn't normally, because everyone is usually quite happy to guest on a podcast. So if you want to talk to someone that you can't usually just, send an email to and ask them for 10 minutes of their time, invite them on a podcast, and they would be more than happy to come and talk with you. So realizing these great things, we thought this would actually be quite interesting as a service. So I then came up with PodJunction as an idea, and thought this might be it. So, but what I started to understand as time went on was that, not, and again, I should probably say this as well, not just from my own observation of my own journey, but also from the conversations that I was having with other podcasters on the show. And I realized that I was using my guests almost as a crutch. And what I was doing was I was allowing them to use their voice, and I was relying on their expertise to make my show sound credible and I wasn't using my voice enough. So I was telling myself, I'm building value, and I'm getting great people on, and there's loads of people benefiting from this, which I think is still true. But from when I did some reflection on it, I was actually what I was avoiding was being center stage. And I think what I found was that I wasn't building confidence in my perspective. So it's not that I didn't have a viewpoint, or that I didn't know what I was doing. I did, but it was just on air. I just felt like I needed to hide behind other people's ideas. So, yeah. And so I guess the part of that is how we think about credibility. Because I think so often, or maybe it's the way I was programmed from like my production days of, let's borrow authority. So let's get on great guests who are experts in their field and get them to talk. And so you're kind of, using them to make your show legitimate. And I thought, and I just became really aware of what was going on, and it was hard for me to unsee that. And so I've been trying to make more of a conscious effort of one, having guests on, because I don't think we should go without guests. I think it's still a good thing to do.
But having
I
a
think
balance between.
a balance, yes, that's right.
So you do some episodes with guests and you do some solo episodes.
Yeah. I'm trying to do more solo episodes, but when I have guests on too, Nathan, I need, I'm trying to be more. One of my guests, his name was Matt Halloran. I'm not sure if you've come across him, but he said, you just need to sprinkle some of your thoughts and your perspectives and what you're bringing to the table into the conversation. So it's not about taking over. It's not about, here, let me just do this on my own. It's just adding to the conversation.
Today's episode of Podcasting Secrets is brought to you by Pod Allies, the done-for-you podcasting services solution. When I speak with CEOs about their podcast, one of the most common comments that I hear is that they know they need a podcast, but they don't have time. Have you ever wondered how some businesses find a way to still run their podcasts while juggling their crazy day-to-day operations? The secret might be simpler than you think. Let me introduce you to Pod Allies. This is a service that's changed the game for businesses in the podcasting world. Pod Allies is a done-for-you podcast production and marketing service. They understand that while many businesses understand the immense value podcasting can have for their business, finding time to produce, syndicate, promote, and monetize a show can be challenging. Pod Allies offers a dedicated team to handle virtually all aspects of your podcast production. From strategy and branding to audio and video editing and guest scheduling, they've got you covered. They even take care of creating blog posts, transcripts, and syndicating your content across multiple platforms. What sets Pod Allies apart is their use of PodUp, their proprietary podcasting software suite. This allows them to streamline the entire podcasting process, saving you time, effort, and a bunch of money. If you're ready to become a thought leader, connect with your audience, and grow your business through podcasting without all of the investment of time and cost of doing it yourself, Pod Allies might be the perfect solution for you. To learn more or to schedule a free consultation with a podcast expert, visit podallies.com. That's podallies.com. Now back to the show. Yeah, not just asking questions, but adding true value as well.
Yeah.
So that you can still have that credibility and that authority and that thought leadership coming from those interview episodes that you're doing. Okay, so let's talk about these solo episodes for a minute. You're trying to do more solo episodes. Talk us through, what are some of the greatest benefits of doing solo episodes?
I think I think if we look at it first with production in mind, I think a solo episode simplifies so much of the process because you're not scheduling.
You don't have to go find the guest. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to do any of that. There's no follow-up emails. There's no waiting around for someone's availability. You just jump on. And whenever you've got the space and what you want to talk about, and if you're messing up a little bit and you need to re-record, you just do that. And I think it just makes that process faster and lighter, and just makes it or helps you stay more agile. And I think the other thing that it does is allows you to be more present in what you're doing day to day. So, in your industry, or whether it's if you're responding to something that's happening in your business, you're not juggling as many things. So there's that. And I think the other thing that the other benefit that it has is that it allows you to build authority and trust. And especially if you're selling a service, or you are the product, put it that way, I think it's really important for you to have a voice, because you don't want people to just sample your show. You want them to actually follow your show. You want them to come back and keep listening. And that only happens when they begin to trust your voice, and they like your voice, and they know your voice. And I think all of that takes time to build. So it's not going to be, one solo episode. It's not going to do it. I think over time you're adding value. through conversations that you're having with guests, and you're also adding value through the solo episodes that you're doing. And yeah, and I think the third benefit I would say is that you learn a whole lot faster, because that learning curve when you first start podcasting is actually quite steep. And especially, like, I know in my, when I look at my own experience, there's I was shy. I didn't want all the limelight. I would much rather ask the question and then give it over to the guest. You take it from here. But actually, can I go back and just add that when I first started doing Pod Junction podcast, the format was a little different than what it is now. And what we used to do was I would do a full conversation with the guest, and then I would break that episode up, which was for about an hour, say, and I would break it up into 10-15 minute segments. And then I would have a co-hosted episode with Matt Edmondson, and we would watch that clip and we would talk about it. So in order to draw out like actionable advice, bite-sized advice for people who were listening. So that episode would just be 30 minutes. And so what would happen is that I would go a whole month before I was doing another episode. And I realized this is slowing me down. I just don't have the confidence every time I'm walking into one. I feel like I'm starting from scratch. And so when I changed the format of that, there was other reasons too, but that was one of the reasons actually, that I need to learn the craft, and I need to learn it well. And if I'm doing it one a month, that's not helping me. So yeah, that's the other thing. If you're doing solo, you're climbing that learning curve so much faster. And because we all know when you first start podcasting, it just sounds strange, doesn't it? Being on camera, your voice sounds weird.
You've got to find your voice. Yeah.
Yes. And that takes time. So I think if you can jump in the deep end and just bear with your voice and just start it, I think in the long run, you're better off.
Okay. So you're saying solo casts help to build our expertise and our authority. They give us more time to develop that voice that you're talking about, and where it's not just us asking a question and showcasing the guest as the expert, but it allows us to be the expert of the show as well. I get that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a more authentic voice because you're sharing your stories, and instead of just getting the guests to share their stories, and maybe then because you share those stories, you're developing a deeper connection emotionally with your audience. What do you think about that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, for sure.
Probably builds trust more. You talked about how it's a lot faster and easier because you don't have to coordinate with the schedules of the guests and editing around them, and you can kind of decide the tone and the pace, the length of the episodes. Sometimes when guests are on, I feel like I have to go longer, whereas when I do solo episodes, I might be more comfortable going with shorter episodes.
Yeah.
You talked about trying different formats, so maybe doing solo episode gives you freedom to experiment. Yeah, I see a lot of pluses that can come from solo episodes. What are some of the negatives from solo episodes?
I think it can become quite difficult to maintain, because sometimes you need other people's ideas to help you think deeper. Yeah. I think, and
you don't want to have to come up with all of the ideas for your show. You want someone else helping you do
and I
that.
think actually we sharpen each other too. I think podcasting is not just for content. I think it's very much a tool for bringing clarity, because I think when we do episodes that have guests on, you're learning other people's perspectives, and actually it gives you something to think about. And if you can reflect on that on what they've said, and if it shifts something in your mind or the way you see things, you're building thought
Yeah.
leadership when you're then doing a solo episode on the back of that. So I think it can become dry, and I think it would be difficult to maintain. But yeah,
I would have a hard time coming up with all that unique content. I
yeah,
don't know why in my personality, in my episode or in my shows, I've done episodes that are solo episodes, and it's a lot harder because I feel like I have to script and prepare it a lot more. Whereas when I have a guest, it feels like I can just have the conversation, and it's real easy to know what to say in response and to ask the next question in response to the story they've just told. But when you have to do all of it yourself, for a while I could do it myself, but to do it day after day after day, um, I feel like it requires me to do a lot more prep work in advance
mhm,
too.
yeah,
Do you feel that? Do
definitely,
you think you have to prepare a lot more for the solo episodes?
yeah, yeah,
The biggest episode that I've seen with my solo episodes is when I don't have a guest, it's only promoted by me. And and when I have a guest, I can get someone else to share the episodes to their audience, and it helps grow my reach and following, and I'm not having to just grow it on my own. Tell me one of the biggest challenges you've had as a podcaster and how you got through that.
I think one of the challenges is finding the right guests.
Yeah.
And I think the other challenge is having the right conversations as well. So you don't want to lose your audience. You want to keep things on track, but sometimes you don't know where the conversation is going to go. And so it's a challenge to make sure that one, the guest is right, and two, the conversation is going to be right. Because I've had people on that I've invited on the show that looked right on paper, but when we started talking, quickly realized this isn't
Yeah.
the right person. And I think that's difficult because the other person's taken time out to be on your show, and you have to have that awkward conversation about, can we please redo this? Can we do it from this angle? Or it just doesn't fit the bill. So I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to air this.
Yeah, I had one guest who I had to not do the recording with. We were doing the pre-conversation, and I clearly could see it was not a fit for him or for me, with the format and the topic. And I had to decline recording and walk away. That was really hard, and he
Yeah.
was really mad at me. He was not happy
Wow.
with me. But sometimes you got to. And then I've had, I think, maybe 2 episodes that I've recorded that I've just not been able to publish, where
Mhm.
and the way I look at it is I have to provide enough value to trade people for the time they're
Yeah.
investing to listen to my show. And if someone's going to take a half an hour to listen to my show and I don't give them enough value to trade a half an hour for their life for, they're not going to come back to my show.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really hard when you have to, someone's taken all the time to do an interview, and then you just say, I'm so sorry, but
Mm.
I can't publish this episode. And
Yeah.
you probably burn a bridge, and they're probably mad at you, and you probably will never be able to work with them again. But you've got to protect your relationship with your listeners. You got to protect their time, and
That's
you
right.
can't give them something that's not worth what they're trading to listen to it.
Yes. Absolutely.
Have you ever had to not publish an episode before?
Yes. Yes. I'm actually in that place at the moment. So I haven't reached out to them yet. It's one of those that's been recorded. And I was just, you kind of keep hoping it's going to get better and you can turn this ship around. It was one of them.
Yeah. Sometimes what I've been able to do, there's one other episode I can think of where maybe 75% of the episode was bad, but
Hmm.
there was some good. There was maybe 20 or 25% of it that was
Yeah.
salvageable. And
Yeah.
so what you can do is you can just get rid of all the bad stuff and just keep the good stuff. Even if that means you only have a 5 or a 10-minute interview, just post that 5 or 10 minutes. That's good, right? Get it down to the good stuff. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I tried that. I did some heavy editing on it. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure on it.
Yeah,
So that's
it's hard.
why I haven't reached out to that person yet, because I haven't, but I'm leaning on not going ahead with it.
Yeah.
But it will require some heavy editing if I was to, and it would only be about 10 minutes.
Yeah. When in doubt, don't publish it. If you're not sure, that's usually my rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And I have how do you say, directions for my editors where sometimes I say this is a heavy edit. And I don't do that very often, but sometimes I'm like, you're going to have to take out 60 or 70% of this interview. This is a real heavy, and I even give them a percentage. And it's hard and it's horrible, but sometimes you just have to do that. On the flip side, there's been, I did an interview recently with Alex Boyer, who's from London, and he's a national global recording artist, superstar, famous person. And I don't think I've ever done an hour and a half interview with anybody before, ever. And I did an hour and a half. And then I went to my editor and I said, this is a really, really shallow edit. Like, only take the things out of this that you absolutely have to take out of this, because this is a really good interview. He gave so much value in what he was saying. So sometimes it's good to be able to go back to your editor and kind of have that understanding of, and be able to let them know how deeply they're going to have to cut for it to get to be something of value.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I think you're right. Sometimes those conversations are just full of gold nuggets, and you don't want to cut any of that out. And I mean, my show is supposed to be about 30 minutes, but sometimes those conversations happen and you don't want to stop. You don't want to.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll be up to maybe an hour or something, 45 minutes to an hour, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. You have a length that you usually do for your shows, but if there's lots of value happening, don't be limited by that time length.
Yeah. I have thought about whether in those situations to just be like, okay, this is part 1, and then I'll publish part 2. But
I've done that before too.
Yeah.
And that is a good way to do it. Okay, Sadif, if our audience has enjoyed this episode like I have, and they would like to know more about you and your show, what are the best ways for them to do that?
Yeah, thank you. So reach out to me on LinkedIn to find out a bit more about me. I do post on there. I haven't been very active recently, but I am there. And then also just head over to podjunctionpodcast.com, and you can get to me through the website, or just check it out and see some of the episodes that I've done and maybe benefit from some of those.
Sounds great. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Nathan. This has been fun.
And here are my key takeaways from the episode. Number 1, guest interviews can become a crutch that prevents you from building your own authority and voice. Number 2, pre-call vetting saves disaster episodes. Screen for fit, camera comfort, and sales pitch tendencies before recording. Number 3, AI tools now handle transcription, editing, and repurposing in minutes, eliminating hours of manual production work. Number 4, solo episodes accelerate your learning curve and force you to develop confidence faster than monthly guest episodes. Number 5, podcasting opens networking doors that cold emails never will. People accept podcast invitations that ignore otherwise. Number 6, sprinkle your insights into guest conversations instead of just asking questions. Your perspective builds credibility. Number 7, kill recorded episodes that don't deliver value. Protecting your audience's time matters more than avoiding awkward conversations. Number 8, recording frequently directly impacts confidence. Monthly episodes keep you perpetually uncomfortable at the mic. Number 9, heavy editing can salvage bad interviews. Cut ruthlessly when you need to, and sometimes only keep the 10 minutes worth publishing. Number 10, your podcast format should flex for great conversations. Don't let time constraints kill genuine value. And finally, number 11, podcasting as a business tool requires strategy beyond content creation. Network intentionally and measure real results. Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you're looking for a great all-in-one podcasting platform with more than 60 integrated tools, I recommend you check out podup.com, where you can get a free trial of the PodUp platform, along with a free podcast launch course. Thanks for joining us for this episode, and I wish you success as you work to turn your passion into profit through podcast monetization.